Procedure for making the thermophilic compost. Nature makes compost naturally in the environment over a period of many years. We can also make the same compost in our backyard quicker than nature through the thermophilic method, provided we know its right procedure and the recipe for it. So let's get started. At the end of this class, you will be able to identify the tools and materials required for making thermophilic compost and make the thermophilic compost. Before we start making compost, let's see the materials that will be required to make the compost the thermophilic way. 4 bins of greens, 6 bins of browns, cow dung, mud and not sand, water, stick to stir, sticks to make the first layer, coconut fronds, tarp, stones or sticks for weights, gloves, 2 buckets and a mug. Now let's see the procedure of making the thermophilic compost. Step 1. At the outset, collect all the materials in advance. Step 2. Then make the cow dung slurry or mud slurry and keep it ready for use. The moisture content could either be cow dung slurry, mud slurry or food waste slurry. Once the moisture content is made and kept ready, then we can start building our compost pile. Step 3. Create air tunnels for aeration at the bottom of the bin. You may need to create air tunnels using soft dry sticks for large heaps and piles, so arrange thin sticks at the bottom of the bin for aeration. Step 4. Make the first layer of browns and keep it dry. Make the first layer of browns for bedding 8 to 10 inches. We don't wet this layer though. It is brown because we want this bottommost layer to soak up all the water that drains down from the other top layers. Step 5. Add the first layer of greens and then add wood ash. Add the first layer of greens, 6 to 8 inches of fresh green leaves, etc. Then sprinkle wood ash on the layer of greens. Step 6. Add second layer of browns and then add water. Add second layer of browns, 8 to 10 inches high. Now is the time to add water. Always add water either in combination with cow dung or mud. If water is added directly, it will just run down the pile, but when in combination with cow dung or mud, it will stick to the compost pile and hold the moisture in. Step 7. Add the second layer of greens and then add wood ash. Step 8. Build the compost pile 1 metre high with alternate layers of browns and slurry and greens and wood ash. Keep adding layers of greens, then wood ash, then browns and then slurry till either it is 1 metre high or you reach the top of the bin. Step 9. Add browns as the last and the topmost layer of the compost pile. Finally cap the compost pile with a 4-inch layer of dry browns. This is to prevent flies and bad odour. Do not wet this layer though, it is brown. Be sure that your pile is at least 1 metre long, 1 metre wide and 1 metre high. Step 10. Slide in the temperature stick or compost thermometer. Slide the temperature stick or compost thermometer in an angle all the way into the middle or centre of the pile. Step 11. Cover the compost pile with a tarp to protect it from rain. The compost pile needs rain protection. The important thing is that we loosely cover the pile or bin with some kind of waterproof tarp. To keep the tarp loose-fitting, first put the coconut fronds and then lay the tarp on top of it. Put a stone or some sticks on top of the tarp to stop the tarp from blowing away. This way, the rainwater will drain away. Still, if a small amount of rain gets in, it is okay. So during monsoon, it's very important to cover it. Another reason why this covering is done loosely is to maintain airflow in the compost, which is very essential. With that, we come to the end of this class. Let's recall what we have learnt. We learnt the procedure for making the thermophilic compost. Let's review its basic steps. Step 1. At the outset, collect all the materials in advance. Step 2. Make the cow dung slurry or mud slurry and keep it ready for use. Step 3. Create air tunnels for aeration at the bottom of the bin. Step 4. Make the first layer of browns and keep it dry. Step 5. Add the first layer of greens and then add wood ash. Step 6. Add second layer of browns and then add water. Step 7. Add the second layer of greens and then add wood ash. Step 8. Build the compost pile 1 metre high with alternate layers of browns and slurry and greens and wood ash. Step 9. Add browns as the last and the topmost layer of the compost pile. Step 10. Slide in the temperature stick or compost thermometer. Step 11. Cover the compost pile with a tarp to protect it from rain. Take our next class to learn about tips for making the thermophilic compost.